Right, with this video we're going to talk about tracing images. To give you an idea, what we're going to do here is I don't want to see the picture anymore. I would like to see like an outline, just like if you put a piece of tracing paper over the top and then just drew in the key points. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to focus on the track, and I want to create like a trace of the line where the mouse is going around the edges of the track and across to the side showing the pit lane entrance and so on. Just incidentally, if you're curious what the image is, this is from Brooklands at Silverstone, which I took earlier this year. It was not a very exciting day, however, whilst you were there were cars slightly going off track, and what I want to do is I'm not interested in the cars, I'm more interested in the layout of the track. So to do this, what we do is we need to, with the background image, create a new layer, and also we need to now go into this section which I've not talked about before, which is paths, and in paths we just create a new path as well. Now with this done, all we do now is just leaving it as it is, because we've got the path selected and we are currently in the layer 1. That's all we want to do. Go back to paths again. What we're going to do is over onto the side here where your toolbars are, we want to go down to the pen options and just select the pen tool. Now with this, what we can do is I'm going to just zoom in a little bit so I can see a bit more clearly. I'm going to focus on doing the track from here. Now what I will do is I'll just go through the basics with you a few times, and then I'm going to pause the video, finish off what I want to do, and then we'll move on. So what we'll do is I'm just going to click on this apex here, and then with the mouse follow it down and click again, and off to the edge here and click. It's not the end of the pit lane, so I'll just scroll across and finish this line off. Now to finish it off, just double click and then that should be done, or pressing escape. Now over on this side I'm going to just finish it off by going to the edge here and very carefully just clicking on the edges like so. As you can see, this is very boring, so I'm not going to bore you too much with much more of this, and I'll go to the end like that. Now what I'll do is I'll just pause the video, I'll get the end of the tracing done, and then what we'll do is we'll talk about how we can put styling of brushes onto this. Okay, job done. What can you see? Well, let me just turn off the background so you can see what I've done here. You'll notice that I've got these lines going acrosswards, so I'm sort of like tracing out the roof of the area we're under, also a little bit of the actual circuit. It's not much, it's not brilliant, I will be completely honest, however I'll show you what you can do with it in a minute. So with that on, the final thing is making it look like it's hand drawn. So what we do is we go into our tool presets. If you don't have it available, sorry, what I meant to say is not the tool presets, the brushes option, which brings up our brushes tool. So if you haven't got that, in the Windows menu you'll see you've got brushes, or pressing F5 on your keyboard will do the same thing. What we will have to start with, and let's just make it the same as yours, is you'll have your brush tools off to the side, what size you want the brush. Incidentally, if you're not seeing this at the moment, you need to make sure you select the brush tool first of all. With that selected, then in here I'm going to put this on a reasonably thick sort of size of brush, but then I'm going to do things like shape dynamics. Now the purpose of shape dynamics is it's mainly if you're using a tablet, and the harder you put your the pen down on the board, the stylus on the board, the more deeper the stroke. Now what we can do is we can cheat a little bit and let the computer just do some guesstimates on this based on the tracing that we've done with the pen tool. So with the shape dynamics selected as such, I'm really changing the controls here to pen pressure and pen tilt if you wanted to, and at the bottom what you should see is the change in the look. So if I put more jitter on, it should start showing a little bit more like it's been hand drawn, like on a pencil. Can you see how the little gaps are going into it? So let's say that's what I wanted, so it looks more like it's been hand drawn. At this point what we do is we just go to the paths section, and then we right click and we choose stroke path. At this point what it will do is it'll bring up a dialog box, and it's all about what do you want to stroke it with, and in this case the brush, which we've now configured. So if I click on OK on that, there we go, job's done. I'm just going to hide that view. The moment you can't really see your handiwork because you've got the background still selected, so I'm just going to make that invisible, and you'll see now how we've got this thicker and thinner line. Now again, at the moment the paths is still showing because I've got it selected, so I'm just going to click off it, and there we go, that's the finished article. Now let's just zoom in a little bit just so we can see what's happened. Specifically I notice it's over here. You notice how it's nice and thick over on the right hand side, but if I scroll over it gets thinner and you can see the actual breaks in it. Now this takes a lot of time and patience, unfortunately something I don't have a lot of. Now what I will do is I'll show you what I had to do for a customer. So I'll just pause the video and I'll bring that up. So what I've got here is a picture of a Ford Mondeo, and what I wanted to do and needed to do is make it look like it'd been technically drawn, hand drawn by someone like an artist. So what I've got in the path section is a series of different areas. So if I just click on the first path, you'll notice that the line is sort of the outline of the car. Let's just turn off the background. You can see there's the line of the car with the exhaust, the tailpipes and so on. Let's just turn that back on. In paths I could also look at the doors where I did the intricate detail. Again, let's just turn off the background, and there you go, there's the rest of it with the wheels and so forth. And what you can do is with them all done like this, and right clicking and doing your stroke path option, you can end up with this. Let's just turn the paths off for most impact. You can end up with that. And that to me looks absolutely superb as a hand-drawn image. And this is all thanks to using paths. So to recap, paths, you use generally the pen tool to do an outline, and you would do this by creating a new layer and also creating a new path. And with that path selected, you would use something like the pencil tool to draw your lines across the way you want it. And if you wanted to do curves and so forth, you have to do lots of little turns to make it go round corners properly. But if you have the patience, and I had one of those days where I did have patience, you can actually create quite some superb images. And so on top of them all, it looks a little bit cartoon-esque now, doesn't it, with how it's sort of got the lines in between, but at the end of the day it looks reasonably hand-drawn. And so I do encourage people to play around with this, because you can come up with some really fantastic imagery, and it's all thanks to using paths. So hopefully this video will help. It's not one of the mainstream things you will use Photoshop for, but if you wanted to do something a little bit different, consider paths as an option for the future. Thanks.